Barbados records a spike in gastroenteritis cases. Sugar officials are reporting that all's well at Portvale. Barbadians make a last-dash effort for fish to fulfill a Good Friday tradition. And in sports, Barbados under-15s lose their second match at the CWI Rising Stars tournament.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
A very good evening to you. I'm Sophia Alsop. In our top story at 7, local health officials are monitoring a spike in cases of gastroenteritis. According to reports, 312 cases have been recorded for the first 3 months of the year. This is a significant increase when considering that in 2022 there were only 42 cases for the corresponding period. In an interview with the CBC News, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Kenneth George gave details on what the island's health surveillance has detected.
We have noticed a significant uptick in cases within our polyclinic system, and in addition, some private sector physicians have been reporting increased cases of gastroenteritis. We do this, the testing for it, and certainly it has come up with a mixed bag. So there are not only viruses being identified, but on occasion some bacteria. So there's no pinpoint source where the infection is coming from.
While saying there's no cause for extreme concern, the CMO is urging people to be cautious. According to Dr. George, a recent increase in cruise travel by Barbadians could be the reason for the increase in gastroenteritis.
There's a virus called norovirus, which is a common virus that presents particularly when people do cruising or ships. And I know that it's not our peak tourist season, but at the same time there are a lot of Barbadians who are traveling out of Barbados on short cruise excursions. So norovirus can take over a ship. Actually, we've had sometimes have to deal with that on multiple occasions. So I think it is to when you're overseas and you are on one of these cruises, don't let your guard down.
Now, gastro is preventable, and with the Easter holiday approaching, Dr. George is reminding Barbadians about best health practices related to handling food.
For the Easter holiday, many people will be preparing food, but the 2 takeaways I would say: make sure you wash your hands, and if you're using raw fruit and vegetables, make sure they're well washed, because we know from a public health perspective frequently salads and coleslaw, and there's some particular foods that are frequently associated with a higher risk of getting a foodborne disease.
Gastroenteritis is an inflammation of the gastrointestinal tract, including the stomach and intestine. Symptoms may include diarrhea, vomiting, and abdominal pain. If you do experience symptoms, you're being urged to hydrate, and if those symptoms worsen, seek medical attention. All is well. That's the word from sugar officials in response to comments making the rounds about a backlog of canes to be ground at Portvale Sugar Factory. Chief Executive Officer at the Barbados Agricultural Management Company, Orlando Atherley, told CBC News that the 2023 sugar harvest is exactly where it was projected to be at this stage of the crop.
It is standard during the crop that we not going on Good Friday nor Easter. So because we had good cane receipts on Monday and Tuesday, and we were going in most of the week last week, we made a decision not to take cane on Wednesday, because we had enough cane on the ground that we would have been able to grind out by Thursday, because we have to stop by Thursday 8 o'clock tonight. And when I say stop, we have to grind all the cane, clear all the juice in the house, make all the figure we can out of that, just so that over the next 3 to 4 days, there's no stock in the factory. The factory then starts back on Tuesday morning, so I am not sure where the story comes from that we stopped taking cane because of rain. That's not true.
Well, the CEO says the recent fires are a concern, but this year's sugar crop is being bolstered by an incentive scheme which is bearing fruit.
Hiccups, any stoppages we've had is normal stop for maintenance or minor mechanical issues. Obviously, it's a whole factory, Trevor. But beyond that, we have been graining. The good thing about this crop is that there's an incentive scheme in place based on the number of hours you grain, the output, the efficiency of the operation. And I believe so far this year, the workers have earned, I think, 3 incentive days. So in other words, they've met the target that has been set in the incentive program. So it tells you where the crop is at and how we're going.
Well, as the perennial water issues at River Plantation in St. Philip continue, one farmer has offered a suggestion that he believes can solve the problem once and for all. And as an added bonus, Kenneth Blades says the plan will also bring in more money for the government. Our Sharika Griffith reports.
Almost a year ago, the 6 million gallon Browns Pond water catchment at River Plantation St. Philip was officially opened. It was expected to bring relief to farmers in the water scarce area, but this has not materialized. In fact, several farmers are still awaiting connections so water from the catchment can be channeled to their farms. One such farmer is Kenneth Blades. He's concerned about dropping water levels in the pond.
The supply of water, which comes from Three Houses Spring, is not flowing into the river. And this is the problem that government needs to fix. One of the ways in which the government can fix this problem is by digging or building a large catchment at Three Houses, capturing all the water that leaves the spring and pipe it underground to river into Browns Pond, so that there will be no loss of water by the means of evaporation or having to do any maintenance to constantly clean the stream where the water is being blocked from time to time.
Mr. Blades, who's been in the business for close to 40 years, is convinced this would solve the water woes of farmers at River once and for all and prevent the precious commodity from making its way into the sea. And he's suggesting all farms which depend on the Three Houses Spring should have metered connections, including those located upstream of River Plantation.
If the government should dam the water at Three Houses, they would have to make provision for these other farmers to get access to the same water by the way means of giving them water connections with meters, so that they will be paying for the water instead of pumping it now free, and everybody would pay for what they use.
This, he says, will result in an increase in revenue for government. CBC reached out to Minister of Agriculture Indar Weir, who indicated the ministry is already working in this direction. He said there's currently one reservoir and a second one is to be done. Mr. Weir adds that the Three Houses Spring Act has been repealed. He says the plan is for a comprehensive management system to stop the blocking and diverting of the stream and allow for a metered system to supply water to the farmers at River. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Thank you, Sharika. Now, Christians in Barbados, like millions across the world, are preparing to observe the holiest weekend on the Christian calendar and a solemn Good Friday tomorrow. In keeping with tradition, many were out seeking to get their favourite fare to add to their plates tomorrow. The CBC's Rianne Phillips looks at the origins of the habit and the response from Barbadians.
For many, eating fish or a dish containing fish on Good Friday is a must. But have you ever wondered why this is done? Here's an explanation from the principal of Codrington College, the Reverend Dr. Michael Clark.
The Authentic Virgin really has more to do with the sacrifice of our Lord, the sacrifice of his flesh. And therefore, the invitation to abstain from eating flesh because of that connection. And or Lord, meat would be considered from warm-blooded organisms, whereas fish is cold-blooded, so wouldn't be considered in the same way as they would consider warm-blooded individuals. So it's more connected to that than anything else. But there are other traditions, but that's the primary one, and that's the one that's more important for us.
Regardless of the virgin people identify with, the tradition is clearly alive and well here in Barbados. The Bridgetown Fisheries Complex was packed today, Monday, Thursday. Not an available parking space in sight as people were stocking up on fish and produce.
I got here sometime after 8 o'clock and the crowd was moderate. This crowd has been a little bit bigger because, for the past 3 years there wasn't no flying fish, there weren't the amber fish, there was not much fish, but this year has been great.
We sell it here quite a few years now, and every Holy Thursday we come out, because it's mostly, you get a flux, because the fish and so forth, and the Easter. Mostly limes, I find, sweet potatoes, plantains, some yams.
And for shoppers, the price of fish did not matter.
I don't worry about prices. I retire, and when I pay, I can eat. I don't worry about the price. I came to get my turbot and my amberfish and blue marlin.
I come to get some marlin and tuna and a pack of flatfish.
If you're going to make it, bring that, fishermen go every day fishing them, every day and catching there. And they live out there just. I try and cook tomorrow.
Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
A delight to see everyone getting what they want there. Coming up, we'll tell you what's being done to ensure future entertainers in Barbados are well prepared. A top official at the Barbados Light and Power Company is shedding some light on the cause of Tuesday's island-wide outage. Speaking to CBC News after preliminary investigations, BLPC Director of Operations Johan Graves confirms the fault originated at the Spring Garden generating plant. He explains what occurred.
On that day in question, our technicians were investigating a fault on one of the generator circuit breakers when a flashover occurred. When that happened, the safety protection equipment on the adjacent generator units would have detected the same fault, resulting in them tripping offline. This then would have led to a cascading effects with other utility and distributed renewable systems tripping, leading to the island-wide outage. Now, thankfully, we can report that no one was injured during the incident.
Well, the utility has submitted a report to the Fair Trading Commission about the island-wide outage, and a further investigation continues.
We've done a preliminary report which would have been submitted to the Fair Trading Commission already. That would have been submitted on Wednesday. And we now have an active investigation going to identify the root cause. And we will submit the final report to the FTC within 6 weeks. Now, in terms of the actual fault, we can't say exactly why the flashover would have occurred at this point in time. That is the focus of the investigation that will now be conducted. So it's still a little too early to say what the root cause is.
In other news, efforts continue to ensure that the next generation of entertainers are well equipped with the tools to succeed. That's the reason that contestants of Beige to the World Season 3 have been participating in a series of workshops. Training and Development Officer Stephanie Chase says those behind the competition are taking a holistic approach to developing the young artists.
We developed a series of workshops aimed at exposing and equipping the contestants with the skills that they need to excel in the entertainment industry. We looked at it from a psychological perspective because we want them to be able to cope with the stresses that may come their way. We've also had a number of professionals who work in entertainment industry give up their time to come and share their knowledge and their experiences in the entertainment industry with the contestants. And we're hoping that at the end of the workshops, that all of these contestants will be more competent and equipped to succeed.
Well, the most recent workshop was staged by the National Cultural Foundation and focused on networking in the 21st century. Senior Business Development Officer Andre Hoyt says the events are important as they give the NCF a chance to engage with the future musicians of Barbados.
Listening to some of the questions that they had, it demonstrates that they are very keen to understand the business of what they're doing, particularly as young artists who are coming up. And a lot of them do know quite a bit, but it's also important to help guide them to be very strategic in what they're doing. And of course, as we have come out of the pandemic and moving forward, a lot of them have a lot of talent, so they just want to be able to position that and package it in the right way.
Well, Barbados has warned that 100 million people will be pushed into poverty as a result of climatic loss and damage. That's the word from Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley's Special Envoy on the Climate, Professor Avinash Prasad. He told the G20 Sherpas meeting additional revenue streams are needed and the fossil fuel industry has to make its contribution to the loss and damage.
We need to break down what we need to do into three. Where there are revenue streams attached, we need to involve the private sector. Where there are savings, we need to shift the multilateral development banks so they are playing a much greater role, where we are doubling and trebling the amount that they lend. We're releasing $1 trillion extra. This is possible. The G20 Working Party highlighted the fact that we need to employ callable capital, SDRs, and if we do so effectively, make callable capital callable, we can create that headroom. And that headroom needs to be focused on those investments and adaptation and resilience for which there are not revenue streams attached, but there are savings to be had.
Professor Prasad's presentation focused on measures that can reshape the international financial system. He says in order for change to occur, a global coalition must be forged.
Where people can see directly the benefits and interests to all, where all are contributing and all are benefiting. And I think uniquely that space in which that occurs is in climate change. I think in climate change we are seeing the real development of a global coalition for change. And climate change has all of the issues of justice, inequality, and need for global action.
Well, some good news now on 13 beaches and 5 illegal dumping sites were cleaned up during this year's Clean Up Barbados campaign. The exercise took place on Saturday, March 18th. Peter Bino and Brenda Begg were the 2 co-winners of the biggest cleanup for Clean Up Barbados 2023. Their groups from Storall, Adopt a Stop and St. Winifred's School worked together to clean 15,831.9 pounds of illegally dumped rubbish from Blackman's Gully. Coordinator Anne Harding is proud of the effort made, and she singled out the St. Winifred's School, whose students took part in their very first cleanup. Mrs. Harding was a guest on CBC TV8's Morning Barbados.
We had over 1,200 volunteers this year, well over 1,200, and so I was quite amazed and a bit shocked when I saw the numbers of registrations growing and growing and growing, and I thought they would level out, but they didn't. They just kept going up. And I think that we had a lot of help, particularly from our 3 project assistants. We had Amber Hoyt calling and emailing the schools. And we also had Scott Chandler doing social media, including Instagram, which I was never very good at, but he was very helpful in that respect. So, and also Abigail Sandiford helped us to get the resources that we needed lined up. So we had a good team this year.
Congratulations to all involved. Central Bank Governor Dr. Kevin Greenidge has urged students of his alma mater, the Allen School, to hold fast to the values instilled by the school, like hard work and integrity, which he says he has continued to benefit from throughout his personal and professional life. He was speaking as the featured speaker at the Allen School's Speech Day and Prize-Giving Ceremony, which was held at the school's auditorium. Our Ryan Broom has more.
Drawing on the speech day's theme, continuing the legacy of success, Dr. Greenidge urged the students to consistently carve out their own legacy of success throughout their school lives and eventually in the wider world, just as numerous other Allenians have done in their respective national contributions over the years. He said it was only through hard work that they would achieve their goals.
Nothing in life comes easy, and it's through hard work and dedication that we can achieve our goals. Former U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt said, "Nothing worth having comes easy." Success is not handed on us on a silver platter. It requires dedication, it requires perseverance, and a willingness to put in the effort. Even the good book told us, and it's charged us by saying, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters.
Dr. Greenidge also referenced the school's motto, Ali non sibi, or for others not ourselves, telling students that the school was responsible for instilling several important values in him that he has carried into adulthood, both in his personal and professional life. He urged them to be vulnerable and authentic in all that they do.
Many persons would have known or heard me talking about where I came from, my background. You know, and in doing so, you have to be willing to open yourself to persons. Person would have heard that I would have, as a young man, spent some time in a children's home. That allows me now to connect the younger persons who are going through rough and trying situations. You have to be authentic. You have to be willing to be vulnerable if you're going to build strong community. And you, young people in this position, you are the next thread in that community, and you must build those around you. Start with those immediately around you.
In delivering the principal's report, acting principal Reverend Stephen Scott says students at the school continue to excel academically, in sports, and in other areas.
The school's success was exemplified as students placed on the Caribbean Examination Council's merit list in visual arts for the first time in the school's academic history. Let's give them a round of applause this morning. This merit list reflects the top 10 students, not in Barbados, in the region.
Now, students were presented awards covering a wide range of areas, both for academic successes as well as extracurricular activities and individual outstanding achievements and work. The award presenters included businessman Ralph Busy Williams, Dr. Greenidge, an infectious disease specialist and executive director of clinical and diagnostic services, Dr. the Most Honorable Corey Ford, who is also a past student of the school. Ali Non Sibi. Ryan Broom, CBC News.
The Business Report, brought to you with the compliments of Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
A new banking system will be rolled out in Barbados later this year. Word of this has come from Managing Director of Republic Bank, Anthony Clark, as he addressed the launch of the Power to Make a Difference 2023 program at the bank's Lime Grove branch last evening. In welcoming 2 new beneficiaries to the program, the bank official told the gathering improved services, especially in digitization, are on the cards, and customers stand to benefit from a mobile banking app.
Cardless cash is yet another big feature that will be rolled out. Customers will be able to access money from any of our ATM Blue machines by just entering a code, no card required. we continue to also position ourselves as leaders in the renewable energy space, something I know our social partners working in the areas of environmental protection and climate-related issues are happy to see and hear.
And Mr. Clark also drew reference to the bank's efforts with its support of actions on climate financial goals.
In Barbados, that has included the creation of a suite of products and services that are making it easier for more Barbadians to access the technologies that can heal our planet, reduce our dependence on fossil fuels, and, in some cases, lead to the creation of generational wealth. Just as you have taught us, we are also making sure that we are practicing what we preach. Internally, we are assessing our own carbon footprint with the aim of reducing it across our network, and we are assessing other means of implementing green technologies throughout our banking system.
Anthony Clark there. In other news, auto dealer Inchcape Barbados is getting into the business of pothole repair, revealing the latest piece of machinery in its setup. It's the Pothole Pro machine by international equipment manufacturer JCB. It was demonstrated recently to officials at the Ministry of Transport and Works and Water Resources. Managing Director and Chairman of the JCB Group of Companies, Lord Anthony Banford, says the machine is the solution to the pothole problem in Barbados.
This machine will do a pothole. We've just done a pothole in 4 minutes, and that is we cut it out, do the edges properly, put the tar in. The whole thing takes 4 minutes. Instead of, you could probably do 50 or 60 in a day, whereas normally it takes a day to do 7 or 8.
We're ready for the second part of our sports news now with our friend Anne-Marie.
I promise you some Carifta news. I'll start with swimming, as the 36th Carifta Aquatic Championships is in full swing in Curacao. Following last evening's opening ceremony, which saw Team Barbados join the other 25 countries in the capital Williamstad in what was a celebration of local and regional culture, the competition, which will see the disciplines of beach water polo, artistic swimming, swimming and open water swimming, got going today. Coming out of this morning's preliminaries, 13 of Barbados' swimmers are into tonight's finals, along with 4 relay teams. Kenya Dean and Heidi Stout are into the girls' 800 meters final for the 15 to 17 and 13 to 14 age groups respectively. Bo Washington competes in the boys' 200 meter breaststroke, while in the girls' equivalent it will be Amaya Harrison and Sanaya Minis. In the 15 to 17 girls, Adara Stoddard is a lone Bajan swimmer and she goes in with the fastest qualifying time, while Joshua Ross will compete in the boys' 15 to 17 200 breasts. Anaya Harrison is into the final of the 11 to 12 girls 50 meter backstroke, with Zachary Burke in the boys' final of that age group. Jess Simmons swims in the 13 to 14 girls backstroke final, while Kalia Springer will be in the girls 11 to 12 100 fly final and Zachary Burke in the boys. In the 13 to 14 girls 100 fly final, Jess Simmons will be back in the pool with Victor Ashby in the final of the 13 to 14 boys. Adara Stoddard is also a finalist again in the girls 15 to 17 fly. Barbados will be represented in the 400 meter freestyle relays in the 11 to 12 girls, 13 to 14 boys, and both the girls and boys teams in the 15 to 17 age group. Meanwhile, over in the Bahamas, the Barbados Carifta track and field team is settling in ahead of Saturday's start of the 50th edition of those games. Following a light training session yesterday after arrival, the team had their first official training session at the Thomas A. Robinson National Stadium this evening, as we see in this video complements the Athletic Association of Barbados. The 23-member team went through some stretches, followed by drill work. The opening ceremony is set for 4 p.m. tomorrow, with the action scheduled to start at 9 a.m. on Saturday. CBC TV8 will have live coverage of the 50th Carifta Track and Field Games. Now, the process of grooming the next Barbadian gymnast is well underway. Helping with that process is Barbados' lone competitive female gymnast Erin Pinder, who returned recently to Barbados from competition and training in the United States. Pinder spent a day passing on some words of encouragement and providing technical advice to the 6 to 9-year-old children of the Acro Flex Gymnastics Gym located in Shop Hill, St. Thomas. The eager group is coached by Roy Dungs. Pinder, who became the first female gymnast to represent Barbados at the Commonwealth Games, competing in the 2022 edition in Birmingham, told CBC Sports the session is her way of giving back to the sport.
For me, the aim of the session was to perform certain gymnastic skills so the children had a visual representation of how certain skills were supposed to be performed. As some students learn visually, it may have been easier for them to see me do a certain skill and they replicate it to their best of their ability. I just hope to pave the way for any other upcoming gymnasts that I have coached at the gym that I went to. So in case they wanted to do anything in the future gymnastics wise, like college or even Olympics, that maybe they could go to another gym when they get older and do the same thing that I did.
Pinder has her sights set on competing at the Pan American Championships in Colombia in May, which is a qualifier for the Pan American Games in Santiago, Chile. The 18-year-old, who has been training in North Carolina, will be in the all-around category of gymnastics, which includes the vault, uneven bars, the beam, and the floor routine. The all-around champion of an event earns the highest total score from all combined events.
Since Commonwealth, like I have said earlier, I have just been trying to improve my skills for each competition that I have been doing throughout the course of the season, and I have progressively getting better. So that was a goal of mine. So I'm glad I achieved that goal. So as of right now, I'm just trying to continue to build on my skills and just keep striving to make Barbados proud in gymnastics.
Well, that's our package this hour. It's been a pleasure being with you. Thank you for being with us, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.
Thanks for visiting us. Now, if you want to see more stories like this one, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can always go to cbc.bb for the latest news and current affairs.